It's said negotiation is not a weakness, it's a power. I very well agree with this sentiment. Good morning, my friends, fellow Toastmasters, and all the guests present here. In this speech, I'm supposed to talk about a negotiation that I have participated in the past, or I will in the future. And this was a very interesting, a very uh, new topic for me, as negotiation is something that all of us have been doing from a very young age, but we don't recognize it as often as it is present. But it is a skill that is very much needed in all of us, but it seems to be glossed over most of the time in people's private life. When you think about negotiations, you normally think about work related situations, contracts, or some law bondings as such. I know some workplaces run negotiation courses, but for the most part, outside of work, it is ignored. Alternatively, you may think about various international diplomat talks and agreements or Lok Sabhas as such. Now, negotiation and discussions are the greatest weapons we have for promoting peace and development. This was said by Nelson Mandela. Now, I will just very quickly glance through the main negotiation styles and what they mean. The main negotiation styles are accommodation, compromise, competitive, and collaborative. I I only knew about competitive because when I am trying to negotiate, my aim is to just get the best outcome for myself. So this was a learning curve for me. To use the accommodation style, you must be willing to give information and you must be ready to make concessions. Very useful when you need to mend or maintain good relationships. When you are using compromise, you are meeting your counterparts halfway, you could say, so that both parties are at a good level. The competitive approach, as I mentioned, come across as aggressive and it's very strategic, where you have to figure the best outcome considering your intentions in mind so that you are at the best position. There is always a clear winner and loser with this style. The collaborative style, as such, involves brainstorming to gather ideas so that we can come to the one particular best way in which all the parties are satisfied. Now, the outcomes to these negotiations are either win win, win lose, compromise, and when to walk away. And me being the stubborn person that I am, I have never walked away, even though I knew I was wrong. Now, coming to an example or an experience that I remember about negotiation, it was when two of my friends were in a very critical situation and they had to decide who the third member would be for a project. Now that I think about negotiation, I'm remembering Sahana's and Suprita's negotiation skill to get the pizza slice. But the two of my friends had zero intentions of giving way any further. They were at their extremes that they are not going to bend to each other. When they walked in, you could see that from every pore, they had the attitude that no, not today. We are not going to pick the person who is not we want. Their main objective was to take the higher ground, and in that way they could get the person that they really wanted. But when you normally come across such a negotiation style, I found that you could calm the person at hand by being very friendly, keeping the conversation casual and low tension, and by giving them time, space, and respect. The moment you try to put yourself in their point of view and see their pain points, you actually get to understand why they are behaving in a particular way. And that's what I did. I put myself in their shoes, and if I was the leader of a project, I would have wanted the best person as well. And that's why I could sympathize with them. But the way I handled the situation was to bring about the good points in every person and how it's a learning curve. And if people don't get the opportunity to learn, then they'll never grow. And that's why it does not matter what teams we work in, but it's the outcome of the team and how we work as that team that brings about the best possible outcome. Now, usually when we talk about negotiation, another day for me, but for them, it was a project that they're going to be doing for the remaining 8 months. It was crucial that they got the results that they wanted, and that's why their teammate mattered a lot. Sometimes people just need an escape to get away from all the noise around them because that makes their opinion very cloudy. I always thought it was a question of compromise, but now I see that there are also various ways of negotiations that include collaborative and accommodation elements as well, as everybody in those negotiations wants a result, and there really wasn't an opinion to walk away. In my more cynical moments, I used to say that it was a success if everyone was equally miserable at that point of time. But now that I should have actually used the word that everyone was equally happy at the end of a negotiation. And that is what I believe negotiation actually should be. However, apart from this particular example of my life, the true everyday negotiations that we walk through our life are the ones in our head. Should I go for a walk right now, or should I go after 5-10 minutes? It's raining, or it's very windy, it's cold. Should I actually go and do some work? Should I call my friend and ask and talk, or should I not? Or should I exercise or not? These are the kind of situations where most of the time we are in a constant battle with ourselves, and we are trying to negotiate the best outcomes by fighting ourselves. And these are concepts we use from a very young age. Even as children, we ask our parents, can I just sleep for like 5 more minutes and then I can go to bed? You're trying to give excuses that I slept late, and every possible way you can imagine just to get those 5 more extra minutes of sleep. Words like just, because, later, tomorrow, maybe are all excuses. This is when you are using self negotiation as an avoidance technique. I can stop you meeting your potential. It can stop us from actually hitting our goals in general. In the words of the brand Nike, I would say just do it and not think about later or tomorrow, maybe. In conclusion, in this speech, what I really learned was the styles and outcomes of negotiation, from being a stubborn person who always wanted to win a negotiation to realizing that negotiations are not bad at all times. And the perceived convention that we have in our mind is that negotiation should not always be restricted to getting the best possible outcome for one particular person, but all of us in the end feeling jubilant. Over to Toastmaster of the day.